Tommy Reynolds has his gun out. He's pointing the gun, and all of a sudden, I see this woman.
They say it's on every single station. They're saying that Daddy died.
I don't think his life ended at Holston's that night.
If it wasn't for Sopranos, I don't know if I'd be here,
My first thing, and I'm with these legends, De Niro.
One night I jumped out of a car doing 60 miles an hour because I was addicted.
Salute, Mob 2.
Salute, Mob Tube. How is everybody today? I'm not going to do my usual shout outs because I have Anthony waiting backstage. I hope you guys are looking forward to this. This should be a good interview and just a fun time in general. Sorry I was late. Me and Anthony were actually backstage talking about cigars. So let me just shout out a couple of super chats and I'll bring them on. Mark Hind, thank you very much for the $8.99. And Paulie Walnuts, $19.99. I already know this is going to be a great interview. I think it will be, Paulie. And thank you for the $19.99. If you guys want to donate during the show, I'd appreciate it. But if it's super chats and stuff, I will just put them up on the screen and maybe read them later. And cash apps and stuff, I will read later as well. So let me bring Anthony on. You guys ready? Here we go. Let me take the comment off the screen. Everybody welcome Anthony Arilotta. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
Good. I want to thank you for joining us. First of all, thank you very much. This is I was looking forward to this.
It's my pleasure.
So I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you every detail. You can explain how you want to conduct this as well. But I'm just going to ask you some questions to get everybody familiar with you and your story a little bit, and then we can go on to all the good Mob Tube stuff.
All right.
So you were born and raised in Springfield, Mass, right?
Right. I was born in Springfield. I grew up in Six Corners. It was Italian-Irish neighborhood. And then moved to East Springfield. And I was in Springfield my whole life.
Okay. So obviously that's a very Italian area, Italian populated area, I should say, especially back then. So you were around mob guys as a kid, right? I mean, you saw these guys around and stuff?
Yeah. Springfield was heavily populated with the Italian immigrants, loaded with them. A lot of Napolitans, Sicilians, Calabrese, and they had different type of social clubs that they would all go down, and Italian American clubs, and they would hang out. And the south end of Springfield, which there was a lot of sections growing up. Like when I grew up in Six Corners, that was Italian and Irish. The north end back in the day was Italian. And then they all ended up coming down to the south, and that was the last part of the city that the Italians lived. And that's where everything was. That's where I went to school. That's where we hung around as young kids, little gangs of us. And I grew up there, and that's where all the mobsters would be hanging around. They had the boss back then was Sam Kafari. They know Sam. He had his social, his headquarters, which was like an office, and that's where all the mobsters would meet. Restaurants there, and there was all coffee shops and little places that they sold, the Italian meats. And we would skip school and we would see the gangsters and know growing up by their names and people talking that it was we were around, we were little kids, but we knew who they were.
So so around what age would you say you started to really figure out what these guys were up to and the kind of pull they had and power in your area?
I knew at a young age that they were something different than normal people. I just didn't know anything as a young kid. I mean, like I grew up, even my family at 6 years old, it was discussed in my house, the word mafia and mobsters, and some of my family would say they're no good, stay away, those people are no good. And then the other people, but when, other people would say nice things about them. So you saw mixed things, but you always grew up knowing mobster's name, especially in my house. I had an uncle that was the driver for the boss in my area, and so he was always at my house. And so I pretty much, I didn't figure that out at a young age, but probably in my 10 years old, you start figuring out more and more. Why are these guys? They dress good. They're always hanging around on the corners. People show them respect. My father had a store. They used to come into my store. They were treated differently. So you just figure out they were different, treated differently, and they were different people.
So, were you a troubled kid? Were you fighting a lot, getting in a lot of trouble, things like that in your teenage years?
Yeah, I was always getting in trouble. A little wise guy, always busting balls and fighting growing up.
And did you and your friends look up to these mob guys? I mean, did you, like a lot of kids do in these Italian neighborhoods, did you kind of want to emulate them and be like them?
Eventually, as we got older and we started, learning more about it, now we're in our teens now, and so and so's member father is a mafia guy, and you're like, Plus, growing up in my family, both sides of my family are Italians. I'd hear from my grandparents all about the mafia, especially on my father's side, because they were born in Italy. And so as I'm getting older, I'm hearing conflicting things about it, but I'm a young little wise guy. Nothing about money. And nothing about money. It was just the presence of them that they had. That was the, alluring to me. It was, that drew me to them. I started hanging around at the places down the South End, and a lot of times I'd take a ride with my uncle. He'd bring me home from school after, when he was going home around 5. So I would take rides with them. I went for a ride with other gangsters. Like Bruno was always around. He was the one that was more noticed down there, and he was the one that was mostly to me that I took a liking to, and it was close to my family, referred to me as a cousin on my mother's side. And so, yeah, it was, we looked up to them.
Yeah.
Later, and you want to be like them also. You're correct.
Yeah, of course. I think all Italian kids in those neighborhoods, to some extent, look up to those guys. I got one little issue here. People are saying you sound low. I'm not sure why.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Are you using your earbuds? Are acting?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're acting as a microphone. Okay. Let me see.
How about now? I just raised it.
It sounds a little better in my earbud.
Yeah, but you're too loud. Yeah. I'll try to speak up.
Okay. All right. So, what time did you really I'm sorry. What age were you when you really started getting involved with the mob?
Well, organized crime type crimes, I would say I was, officially getting involved with them at maybe 1990, like 21 years old. But I was always doing things, betting, gambling, taking guys' bets, not knowing that it was organized crime stuff. I was just a gambler. Guys would bet. I would sometimes sit on their bets, take bets. Then in my teens, maybe 18 years old, I was selling a little drugs with a couple of friends of mine growing up. But none of that had to do with the organized crime. I didn't get tied up with the organized crime until I picked up a 5-year state sentence in 1990. It was a gun case, shooting case, and I got out of that. I had to do 1 year mandatory on it. And so I served time from 90 to 91, and that's when I started hooking up with the local organized crime guys.
Okay. Now, listen, I know some people from that area and surrounding areas, and I was always told that you were known for being the weed guy. You had weight. As far as the marijuana business, you were the guy to go to. So when did you get involved in that? Was that around that age or after that bid you did?
So I was in jail from 90 to 91, and that was the best thing that happened to me as a young kid, going to a state prison for that year. I was around serious men in prison, a lot of guys that were doing life bids that could never get out, and I developed some mentors in there that's kind of schooled me more than anybody schooled me in my life about the street life, the money part of it, and when I was told in Massachusetts, so as I'm learning all this, and I'm going to explain it all on my channel, but very quickly, the laws in Massachusetts were if you got under 50 pounds of marijuana possession without a school zone, it's a misdemeanor.
That's
And
amazing.
you don't, yeah. So I got caught with like 40 pounds, and I was in district court. I couldn't even get indicted up to superior because I wasn't in a school zone. So that's the law. And the amount of money that you could make. And back then in 1990, everybody, cocaine was big, heroin was always big, the crack started coming around. So they were focusing on those drugs. Law enforcement was going after those type of drug dealers. Now, the guys I was with in prison, one of them his name was Brian Goodman. He's a big time movie director, actor, but he was a vicious Irish, organized crime individual in the South Boston area. So he kind of got me on that track. When I got out in 91, he had a little bit more time to do. I started visiting him, when he was at the halfway house, and he hooked me up with a couple of guys way back then in Boston area. And that's how I started in the marijuana business. And it was just something I was great at. I blew up to the point where I remember I was buying marijuana pounds in Boston. My first 2 pounds, I think I paid $2,800 a pound for like regular weed. And I still made a profit on it. I sold it. Yeah. It was like, but I never did it. I never sold pounds of poppy.
Yeah.
And, and I made a profit on it. But as it went on, I started, I approached anybody. I didn't care who it was. I took this whole area was like, I had control of this whole area when it came to the marijuana throughout the 90s and 2000s. That was my big business that I was in. And I got to the point with that, and I'm going to fast forward this because we'll be here for hours talking, but
No, that's fine.
it got to the point where I would buy my shit weed in New York. I could buy 200 pounds, 300 pounds. They give it to me on the cuff. I never paid anything for like 200, 250 a pound, but it was garbage. And then the highest weed I would pay as I remember, is around 6,000 a pound. And so New York usually gobbled up all my high-end weed. Anything from 3,500 or above, I sent to New York. Hundreds of pounds I sent that way. Anything to 2,500 and below, they sent my way. And this was nothing to do with organized crime. I dealt with captains and other families. I actually dealt with an underboss in a family in the marijuana business. I sat down with some notorious guys, all when I was nothing. I wasn't made. I was proposed at times, but then I was shelved at times. When from 96 and 98, I got caught with the marijuana. I wasn't an active part of the mafia, Cosa Nostra, none of that. And I met more guys in that life throughout Providence, Boston, especially New York, all kinds of high-ranking Bonanno guys I met Colombo, every family, Lucchese guys. In fact, when I used to go to Rayo's afterwards, when I got back around it was around 99, I got back with around Bruno, 98, 99. But I used to go to Rayo's, and now this was a no-no for us to sell drugs. They considered the marijuana, you can't sell, that's drugs. They'll kill you if they find out that you're selling drugs. So the table we had at Rayo's was our table, the Genovese family. I wasn't made at the time. It was like 2001. But we used to go down there. We used to have our own table, and we would sit with bosses of the Genovese family. Artie wasn't even a boss then. There was other bosses that were there. Artie wasn't even there at the table. But the guy that I was doing business with in the Lucchese family, I think his name was Ronnie, he sees me. I was doing weed business with him. So he comes up to me in the Rayo's, and I'm sitting with all these guys. And he said, "Hey, Anthony," he was shocked to see me. What are you doing? And I gave him a quick hello, to get the fuck away from me. Because these guys are going to say, "How do you know this guy?" And I'm going to be like, "How do I know him? I sell drugs with him,
Yeah.
But they didn't ask me like that. And then his guy, Frankie, yelled at him and wanted to hit him in the head with a bat. Why the fuck would you go up to this guy? He's sitting with bosses. And put him on the spot like that. Everyone knew that he was in the weed business, but I couldn't come out and say that. So I ended up blowing up big in the marijuana business. Listen, I could go on till I could tell you so many stories with that business, the money that I made, just scores that I made off that business. To me, that was the best business, that by far out of all of them. And especially you never got looked at by the law enforcement. When you're hanging around, they're looking at the organized crime figures. I really wasn't doing much with them. Sports, gambling, everything. I could give a shit or less about that stuff. Loan sharking, yeah, little numbers. But all my money most of it was made with the marijuana business all throughout that time period.
Yeah. Now, I want to explain to everybody, just so they know, me and Anthony spoke about this interview before the show. There's a lot of stuff he wants to save for his channel. So we're not going to go through every detail of his life, unfortunately, for you guys. So I'm going to skip around a little bit, right, Anthony? That's pretty much what we discussed.
I mean, if you got a question, I'll answer it directly, but I want to save the details for the channel. You asked me about, getting made into the family. I'll tell you, but I want to save all that for when I explain it, what led up to that. You want to talk about a particular murder. I want to tell you the version of it from A to Z and go through it step by step of how and why things happen. So I don't want to, I want to save that content for the channel, but I'll answer the questions as best as I can.
All right, yeah. So I'll skip around a little bit. I wanted to ask you if you could tell us about the first person you shot, because that was actually supposed to be a murder, but the guy didn't die, correct?
Well, yeah, that guy, we had things growing up where guns were involved, people were shot at, we were shot at, and things like that. But are you talking about the guy in New York?
Yes.
The guy you're talking about? Yeah. So he was shot 9 times and he didn't die. And so you're correct. And I'll save the details for that. But that was that hit right there was actually why I got made into the Genovese family. That was done in New York City. That was done in the Bronx, right on the streets of New York. Yeah.
That's what I was going to get to next.
Yeah.
I was going to get to the fact that you pretty much got made because of that. So you got made in 2003.
August 11th, yeah. The day before my daughter was born. Can you hear me all right? Am I coming across all right?
Yeah. Everybody says you sound fine now, yeah.
Okay, good.
So could you just tell us a little bit about what that was like for you, the making ceremony and everything? You don't have to get too detailed.
Yeah, well, that's a big time, for an Italian growing up in that era and being a wild criminal, to get that's the ultimate goal for an Italian young guy coming up the ranks of street crime. For Italians, that's it. That's the pinnacle of everything. Getting made into the family.
Absolutely.
And I know people, this to me though, it was a great honor getting that button and getting into that. I did it for reasons that I'll explain on my channel, and I'll give you the what was going through my mind at the time. But that was the worst thing that ended up happening to me, getting made, getting that button, and I'll explain all of that. And people will be surprised, when you pursue things that you want. A lot of guys are wannabes, and I don't mean disrespectfully, but they want that bad. They want to get made, and they don't get it. And I think that's why more or less I got it, was because I was just living my life every day, and I got noticed by people obviously around my area, but New York people noticed me and took notice, and that's how I ended up. It was coming my way. I was just doing what I do every day, my whole entire life, and that's what got me made. So, it wasn't like I was pursuing that and wanting that and begging for that, because that's not true. But I'll get into all that on the channel as well.
Yeah, I've heard you say in other interviews that you didn't really care about being made.
Yeah, I walked around and I had they call it my crew. I had a lot of good friends, and all throughout Connecticut, I had good people in Boston and everywhere, because I networked and I worked my way out. I had a lot of weed connections. They weren't even Italian. I had Jamaicans that were great friends of mine that I had in my house with their kids, and I'm going to tell stories all about them. And I had all walks of life that I did business with. guys that I was very close with, dangerous guys, and you never hear about them. And so yeah, I was. What was you just asking me? What was the?
Well, no, the one thing I wanted to know, kind of, if you could, just tell us a little bit about the ceremony itself.
Well, I'll tell you, there was a knife and a gun on the table, and they trick your finger and blood comes out, and you repeat after the boss an oath,
Yeah.
and the rest I'll leave for the channel. Well, it's basic. I explained it on other channels, but I like to get into it, the whole thing leading up to that,
No, that's
and
good.
for the day. But it's pretty much what you see. It's not a long process. 4 of us got made that day, and it wasn't a long process. And there is a gun and a knife. There's a saint. There's a burning of a tissue, and blood is drawn, and you take a swearing allegiance, and yeah,
So, how did life change for you after that?
all for the worse.
All for the worst.
Yeah,
See,
everything was the worst.
it's funny that you said it was probably the worst thing that could happen to you, because I think that's the case for a lot of guys who are made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always said that I wonder, like, if you're a guy like you who had this major marijuana business, and you were making money and you had connections and you were already hooked up with people, it's almost it's a bad thing. I mean, you're already doing your thing. You get made, now you got all kinds of responsibilities and duties you got to kick up and things like that, and it's just different. So I would think it would be better to just be a free agent, just be an independent guy doing your thing.
Anybody with that figured that out would say that if I could go back and I would live the same life I lived, I just want to accept I don't want that. You're gonna go shoot a guy in New York who did nothing to me. Take his life, kill him, and come back to your area and live a life, and and have to take. And then when you're made, you have to take orders. When somebody calls for you, you have to go. You have to go. I mean, you don't know if you're going to get killed in these meetings. You don't know what they're calling you for. They could be, call you to come for some stupid bullshit that it's taking you away from your time and what you want to do. And take orders. I hate taking orders. I never liked that from anybody. And so yeah, it was the worst thing. I kind of did it because it was offered, and the shooting the guy thing was just a thing that we did. I mean, we did so much violence growing up that if you asked us to do that, I was like, hey, you guys want to go and give a guy a beat? And it was a nothing thing. Yeah, we'll go give the guy a beat. Well, you want to come over here and shoot the guy? Yeah, we'll come. You want to kill him? Well, we'll kill him. It wasn't like that. People say it wasn't that big jump of the reason that they wanted the guy hit was they wanted to make 2 other guys with me on that hit that didn't participate in that hit. And I'm going to get into all that in my area. So.
Okay. So now at this time, Al Bruno was still the boss, right?
He took over in 01. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was your relationship like with him?
It was good. Bruno was, he's in the street life. I'm in the street life. We're both plotting and scheming, and he's trying to get in my pockets to get things that I got going on, and I'm trying to keep him out of my pockets. And I did great at that. But he was a great guy. He did what he was supposed to do in that street life. His problem is when you got close to him, he wanted to control everything that you had going on. If you had a business, I had a nightclub in Connecticut, the biggest nightclub. And this kid comes out of prison, and Bruno, and I had nothing to do with Bruno at the time. I had the nightclub. I was on the shelf. Supposedly, I was on the shelf. They banished me from mob guys, right?
Because of the
if they only knew, they
marijuana.
banished because I got caught with the marijuana. If they only knew, it was funny because I met so many guys in that life that afterwards, when I was with Bruno, when he introduced me to these guys, I pretended that we just are meeting for the first time. He'd say, hey, this is so-and-so. I said, hey, nice to meet you. And we were probably out to dinner a dozen times. We probably sold millions of dollars in drugs, and we're pretending we're meeting for the first time. Yeah, so Bruno was, trying to get into my pocket. He was good at that. He was good at that. He tried to control what you were, in your life, of what you were doing in that life. But I was partners with him in the sports. I was partners with him in the shy. Like I said, I did all the business. I had I controlled it. Then I had other people working for me, and he was my partner. But he had multiple partners also. Like I did shy with him, but he had another 15 guys he did shy with throughout Connecticut, and he had guys in Florida he was doing the shy with. He had guys in Boston, and so he was, he was a hustler. He was a hustler, and I was a hustler. So there was no reason for me and him ever to argue about that. He just couldn't control me, and that's what he was mad. We used to get into little fights like that. He didn't want me hanging around with a certain made guy, and I kept hanging around with the guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Why do you keep defying me? I keep telling you to not hang around with that guy." Well, you hang around with them. Was the guy no good? Why can't I hang around with him? It doesn't matter. I'm the boss. I told you not to hang around with the guy. So it was stupid beefs like that. It was nothing, where I would look, wish harm on him or try to do harm on him or anything like that, with me.
No, I got you. So the next big event, basically, because like I said, we're skipping around, was the murder of Al Bruno, right?
I mean, I did so much violence throughout that time, and there was murder conspiracies I pled guilty to that the guys didn't die throughout that time, and there was another murder around that time, and then Bruno got killed at that time. Yeah, and I'll touch on all of those things: the Bruno murder, detail for detail, the other murder conspiracies. I'm going to touch on all those, and a lot of them people won't believe, like how. One murder was supposed to be taking place, but there was 3 other murders being planned at the same time. And it was just who got who first and where that we got them to get them. And all this was going on at the same time. And meanwhile, you're trying to make money. And there really was no heat in the area, bad heat, I'm saying, from law enforcement. It wasn't really infested like it was after the body started dropping. Once that happened, it was like you had to leave my back door and go 2 streets over to get picked up if I wanted to go meet people, and that's how it got afterwards. You couldn't believe the intense law enforcement after the violence came. So the violence when the violence and the joining the mob wasn't that bad, but as bad as that, it was the violence that came with that. And obviously, if you join the mob back then, there's going to be violence. So joining the mob was the bad,
Yeah, without a doubt. So after Bruno was killed, you basically became the boss, right?
Yeah. So no, I was, and I'm going to explain all that. So real quick to answer that question, I already had the position. I don't want to say boss, but that's what I was. I had the position. I was made directly with New York, and I didn't have to answer to nobody in my area. And Bruno was going to be taken down from a boss to a soldier. They were going to pop up this other guy, make him a figurehead like they do in New York. They put this guy up as a boss, and it's really that guy, and then they think it's that guy, but it's that guy. I mean, that's what we were doing in our area. So Bruno, while he was alive, I had the power, and I'm going to tell stories all about that. And he figured it out as well. I never got introduced to him as a made guy. That's how they wanted it. And I obviously wanted that too. If you're smart, you don't want to be waving a flag and saying you got made, that's good to protect myself. And but those are all interesting stories of how that all came about. And that's leading up until, like you said, Bruno got killed. And those are going to be presented the right way, the correct way, and the truthful way.
No, I understand. No, and it's a good idea to save some of this stuff for your channel. By the way, I looked at the numbers yesterday. I think we got you about 100 subscribers.
Oh yeah, yesterday. Really?
Yeah, you went from 280 something to about 370 something, I believe.
Oh, thank you.
So pretty close. And
maybe I'll get another 100 today.
Yeah, we're dropping the link in the chat, so everybody.
Maybe I'll come on every day then, Chris. You can have me on a special guest every day.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on, you're welcome. Miss Can't Be Wrong dropped the link. Anthony Arilotta's channel, Money, Mayhem, and the Mafia. Please go subscribe. Let's get him as many subs as we can today. And then, the answers he can't give us today, he'll be talking about on his channel. So you'll hear a lot more details there.
Absolutely.
So your first big case, when did that take place?
I had big cases throughout my whole life. My first big case was when I went away. I got 5 years. Never in trouble, and I got a 5-year sentence never was in prison before. So that's like a big case for a 20-year-old kid to go to prison his first time at 20 years old. And but I had other cases throughout that. We had a case, a huge home invasion case that we faced 25 years for that one. It was involved a beating. I'm going to get into that story. I ended, we got it. I ended up pleading guilty to that. And, but I'm going to get into that story. That was a big case. And then there was a lot of cases in between, marijuana cases that I picked up in 96. My whole adult life, I either had from 15 on, my first case I picked up, I was 15, a juvenile delinquent for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. So it started at 15. I want to say from 15 all the way up until I got released off my federal probation in 2020 of April. So you're talking, say 20, 40, you're talking like 40 years. Out of that 40 years, I was either in prison, probation, out on bail, some sort of house arrest, probably 33 of those years out of the whole time. I did 13 years total in prison, but I was either, when you get released, now you got 3 years of probation, or prior to you going to resolve that case, you're on 2 years before it goes to the court. So there was always something over my back, something, hanging over my head as far as letting me loose, really. I let loose, but I, as best as I could, but I always had restrictions on me when it came to that.
Yeah. So during your reign, so to speak, what types of rackets and stuff did you guys have going on in Springfield? I'm sure you were involved in all types of different things.
You name it. I don't think if you pick something, then we were involved. And I'm talking legitimate and illegal. The only thing that they didn't get, but I did, they didn't, the mob here didn't get involved in drugs, but I did.
Yeah.
I told you about the marijuana. I also sold big amounts of cocaine. And, I was the type, so here how I did my marijuana business. So I got to the point where if I would deal in hundreds of pounds level, okay? And then I got to the point where I was getting it from Mexico, and any given time I would have $1 million in inventory at my houses. And I had houses throughout the city and everything. But if you took, say you were a guy and I sold you a certain particular kind, you wanted weed that cost around $1,500, and you took like, say, 3 pounds a week. I just give you 15 pounds. Here, just take that, and I'll just come see you every couple of weeks with the money. That's what I did to everybody. You sold 5 pounds a week, I'd give you 30. I go, you're all set now for a month and a half, 2 months. You know what I mean? Don't bother me for that. You got that. I fronted everybody, and they all paid me, and I paid them, and I got a lot of it fronted. I'm going to tell a lot of stories like that, especially about a couple individuals in my area that any given time owed me a couple $100,000 for marijuana, and they always paid me, but I always put it on the arm for them.
Yeah.
So they became multimillionaires in that business, just like I did, and they did. But without me helping them, they wouldn't have became multimillionaires. They wouldn't have had to start. I gave them a start in that business with the marijuana.
Yeah. I definitely could have used you as a connect back then, Anthony. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I had so many different, if anybody knows the marijuana, there's different, you might like a certain type that you smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It goes from the lowest, or like around here, there was garbage. Like shit brown. It wasn't even green. It was brown. I even sold marijuana. I don't even think it was real sometimes. I bought 300 pounds from New York. It was all compressed. And I gave it to the guy, and he says, I don't think this is real. I'm smoking it. I'm not getting high. I go, just sell it. He sold it anyway.
Just sell it?
Yeah, he did. He sold
Yeah.
it, I think I paid like $150 a pound for it, but who the fuck knows if it was real?
Yeah. Yeah, we used to do, I lived in a small town back like in the mid 90s. I would get 10 pounds a week for 6,000. You know what I mean? You either sell it wholesale $1,000 a pound, or you sell you break it down in ounces, $100 an ounce. You get 1,600 back on a pound.
Of course, right? And for nothing that you're going to go to jail for.
Yeah.
I think I was so crazy back then. I didn't even give a fuck if they told me this guy was a cop and they still smoke pot. I'm not talking a regular cop. They still smoke pot. I don't care who they were. I would approach anybody. Hey, you smoke weed? Yeah. Here, check this out. You like this kind? Yeah, I'll get it for you. He's a guy that's going to smoke weed. he's not going to sell big amounts. I'm saying, but I would approach anybody in that business, because once you told me that I can't go to jail for it, under 50 pounds, who wouldn't do that? Why wouldn't you get in that business?
See, it was different here. We actually, it was a different thing. If you had over 28 grams, it was a felony. And if you had even 2 grams, if it was bagged up separately, it was considered possession with intent to deliver, and it was a felony. I got busted in 2000, a couple of pounds. I got an 18-month sentence. I wound up serving 9 months, and I was a convicted felon at 19, 20 years old. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for marijuana.
Yeah, for marijuana.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first case. Yep.
Yeah,
It was different in PA. So all right, so like we said, we're not going to go through everything because you want to save a lot for your channel, and there's other stuff we got to talk about. So can you talk about what led up to you finally cooperating and how that went down?
So, and I'm going to break all that down and thing, but what led it up was obviously facing a death penalty case. I get indicted, I get arrested. I get in front of the judge. They say to the prosecutor, what is his maximum charge? Death by lethal injection. And I had all my family in the courtroom, but I still didn't think of that process at that time. And then I go to the holding cell because the case was out of New York, Southern District. They bring me to Rhode Island to hold me there until they transfer you to the New York. While I'm there, the events that transpired while I was there was what put it in my head to go that route, to ever think about going that route. Now going that route, I was not comfortable with it at all. It was nothing I ever thought I would do. Nothing it was the worst. It was the hardest decision that I would ever have to make. But if I did, I'm thinking in my head prior to all this, not doing it, I would want to reach out to somebody that was participated in the crimes with me that would also be facing those charges, and give them and let them know what I'm going to do if I was going to do that. And I didn't do nothing at that point. So that's what I did. And I'm going to explain all that in my on my channel, how I reached out, what happened while I reached out, who reached out and gave them the opportunity ever before I made a move with anybody. So I want to explain that because that's a big point, because that right there is, if you asked me 12 years ago, the hardest decision, the worst ever. I mean, you wish you were dead going through it at that time. Now I look back now, and it's a process. You come back home and you see what's, I have my freedom. You see what's out there, what people would have did if you were in there, nothing, and how people would have treated you. With what kind of respect would you have in there just by people saying, oh, tell him I said hello and all. And I look back and there's what's out here now, and I thank God that I made the decision that I made. But I'm going to explain all that in the channel, and that's something that's it goes deep.
Yeah. So you pleaded guilty to 2 murders in that case, correct?
2 murders. I pled guilty. I think it's 4 conspiracy to murders, but they didn't die. They're walking around now. And I think a shooting and and then a ton of other charges that went along with that. At the end, marijuana trafficking, cocaine trafficking, possession of AK-47s, loan sharking, numbers, sports business. I mean, it was a multiple. It got to all the multiple afterwards. Yes.
Yeah. So how much time did you serve after your cooperation?
I got 8.5 year sentence. I went in and
You got out in what, 2017, right?
2017. Yeah.
Okay. So what's life like now? I mean, you stayed in your area. You didn't really change much, did you?
Well, I said from day one I was coming back here when I had to make that decision, and I was hoping that when I made that decision that other people would have made it with me and they'd be here with me too. I can't tell what other people to do. I can only tell them what I'm going to do. They have to make the decision themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. If people want to roll the dice in trial and maybe they'll beat it and they won't have to do any time, God bless them. But So looking back now, life is great. I'm living the same way I lived then, only I'm not doing illegal things and have to worry about going to prison. But as far as living a nice life, I mean, I'm living great. It's I wake up happy and thankful, and I'm living good.
That's good. That's good to hear. So, do you think if I were to ask the question, is the mafia dead? What would your response be?
Well, I don't think in New York the mafia's dead. I think here there is no mob, okay, at
Wiped
all.
out.
Yeah, I mean, you got a few organized crime criminals, but there is no mob. To
Yeah.
have a mob, you need a mafia. You need a mob. You need made guys, right? Well, there is no made guys, and that's number one. Old timers, yeah, there's like maybe a 2, 3 old timers that are 90 years old. So, and then secondly, so you need a boss, you need an underboss, you need captains, you need soldiers, you need associates. You don't have that. What you have is you have a guy over here making money himself. You have two guys over there, you know, making money themselves, and you have one guy over there, doing his own thing, making money himself, and that's all you have. And there is no mob in my area, and that's why I get a kick out of when people say like there's a mob presence, and there is no mob here at all. It's like I just broke it down. There's no mob because there's not a boss, and there's no soldiers, and there's nothing here. Now in New York, it's different. New
Yeah.
York, they did what I wanted to do prior to me getting indicted. I the same path that those bosses are taking there, that was the path I was taking here. I just didn't have a chance to do that. And that's, you know, strictly legitimate big business. I'm talking big construction and the garbage and the food business and the nightclubs, the restaurants, the strip clubs, and those are the multi-million-dollar businesses. And then you have the side stuff with the the loan shark and the sports, and you have those guys doing that, but low level guys, like guys that are hungry and they're broke and they want to make some money, but you keep them away. You keep the legitimate side here and go that route. Now in New York, the top bosses I know in our family, they're not going around nobody. You can't. They're not going around nobody forever. For the rest of their lives, they're not going around anybody. And so, what does that mean? Is the mob not there? No, it's going to become more of like like a secret society that's like their own little secret society, like the Masons or those type of groups. And they still exist in New York. It's not what it was.
No, I understand. I think a lot of the families in the smaller areas and stuff are just decimated. They're gone. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions before we get on to the mob tube stuff, because I am looking forward to that. That people asked yesterday. Teresa the Baby Marie wanted to know if you ever met the Chin.
No, I met all his family. I'm going to touch on all that. The brother, the nephews, the sons. I was at their houses. All the family, the restaurants. Always dozens of times I met with Mario. So, but yeah, I'm going to touch all that on the channel.
All right. One other question. Did you know Matthew Guglielmetti?
Yes.
Good looking Matty.
Yes, from Providence. Yeah. I had dinner with him. I know him.
Okay. All right. So you got out of prison. You got off, what'd you say, supervised release, I believe, in 2020?
Yeah. Yep.
How were you?
Go on. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask after that, I'm sure you started to at some point notice all this craziness on YouTube, right? How were you introduced to MobTube?
I don't know. I don't think there was a MobTube back then. I got introduced with the social media. I never had an Instagram, Facebook, none of that stuff. Any guy that's in that life isn't going to have an Instagram, Facebook, or any type of that shit unless you're not in a criminal gangster running around making money on the streets. If you're a broke bum, you're going to have that type of stuff. Unless you're promoting something, I'm talking street criminals, guys that are about something, ain't going to have that. Unless you have a restaurant and you're putting your restaurant and promoting that, then you're going to have that for your restaurant. But the last thing you're going to do is if you're making a lot of money on the streets, the last thing is you want is attention coming to you. coming that route. It changes a little bit as you go forward. You can try to mingle in if you're going to legitimate businesses. You can try to mingle that in. So I started paying attention. When I got home, there was this fat guy here that I heard had his own Instagram. But I don't even want to start with that way with that because I have like a lot of story with that one. That was pathetic, that story. But I want to go into that. But where you want to go with this first? Like,
it's up to you. When I first asked about, when you started noticing things on YouTube, I
yeah.
Sammy. Yeah, Sammy. I think I'm not sure when he started. I'm going to say 2020, 2021, something like that. I think.
Yeah.
And there was guys like Jimmy came around, Bobby Luisi, people like that.
I'm going to be honest. I never paid attention. I never watched no show. Even when I do a show, I don't watch it. I don't watch no shows. I never watched any shows. I got out of prison. Anybody that'll tell you, I did a lot of time. This last one, a big. You get out, you got social anxiety. I'm coming back a different person. I'm not in that life anymore. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with past relationships and things like that. So that my focus was on all that type of stuff. It wasn't so focused on, but you hear stories and I don't pay attention to them because I'm trying to fix my life, get my life back where it's like right now it's perfect. But I'm trying to fix it so I have a life. So that's what I was paying attention to in my life. But I would hear things from other people about that shit. Hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see this guy's doing that? Did you see that guy's doing that? I never paid attention to it and I didn't care about it. So it was really no interest to me, all the YouTube shit. I was asked to do a lot of interviews. I always refused them. The first interview I ever did was with Scott Bernstein on the radio. And I did that. That was a radio one. And I was actually, So, and then a lot of people were calling me up, asking me, pleading with, come on, please, I want to put you on. I want to put you on. I had no interest of going on that. There was no interest for me to put myself out there to tell a story that, why do I want to do that? It's if you pay me money and I'll do it. And that's what ended up happening. This guy, but then people want favors and they want you to go on the show and I give people favors. And so I would say that I started paying more attention. I did my first podcast, I think, with the Johnny and Gene show, right when the day I got off probation of 2020. I think it was the same day. I think I even mentioned it on their podcast. Today I got off probation, and that was my first podcast. And that's when COVID was going on. You couldn't leave the house, and so I started doing a couple of shows, podcasts, but that wasn't my thing going forward. I'm a businessman. I make money. I want to make money in business, in real estate, open up something, and I want to see the money coming in. To me, this is a waste of time if you're not making money at the end of the day. So,
tell me.
Yeah. I mean, what do you really, but if you're making money, it's a great thing. And if you can make a little extra money without putting up, I mean, I don't know how you do it. You put a lot of time in, a lot of hours, and people, I'm starting to see that now. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you need assistance or something to answer people's emails and messages, and you're getting dinged all day long, message and all that. And you have a huge, you have a lot bigger, you have a huge channel, big channel. I don't know how you do it, but if you're not making money at the end of the day, that was my thing, make money. And then as the years are going on, and then you start seeing people, stories coming out, then they're touching our area, because nobody really in this area has ever told a story about. That's pretty much why I'm doing the channel. Everyone thinks like, I'm doing a channel for this reason or that reason. The same reason I wrote a book. The reason I'm doing it is no one has touched on our area, Western Mass, going that way, going north into like Pittsfield and Albany area, and then coming back into Connecticut and going Central Mass into Worcester, and then going all the way up into nobody's touched on that. And if you look, there's a lot of infamous gangsters coming out of our areas that nobody's touched on. And I've had a lot of dealings with them, and I've had a lot of people that had dealings with them. I had family members that had dealings with them. And so that's the thing I want to touch on. That's it. That's what I'm doing the channel for. I'm going to touch on that. And that's going to take years to touch on all of that. Just if you break down, like, say, the Bruno story, you know how many hours, if you go through the whole thing, that's going to take to break it down correctly and go through that.
Yeah.
And that's just one story. I mean, so that's going to fill up that channel. And then I also have that, you know, when you see it, you know, a lot of the book. That's why I came out with the book originally, to do the same purpose. And then you start as you're going forward, you're hearing, you know, someone representing it in a wrong way. And you're like, you know, it's bullshit. You know, it's a lie, you know, but it keeps going on and it keeps going on. And then it keeps going on to the point where now it's getting twisted and the stories are getting more absurd, and now personal attacks are coming out and this and that. And so that's what got me into more involved with this YouTube shit.
Yeah, like for instance, as you know, in the last 24 hours, there's a lot of controversy around me having you on this show. Certain people aren't very happy about it. Last night, you called into the show. I had you on the phone on speaker, and you talked about one of the characters that's out here talking a lot of trash, Chicky. Do you want to discuss this guy at all?
Who did I talk about last night?
Chicky.
Chicky.
Yeah, Chicky.
I never heard of him.
Oh, you never heard of
sure
Chicky?
it was me?
Oh, maybe it wasn't
me
you.
on this show?
It might have been
this
somebody
guy.
playing Anthony Arilotta. There's a lot of clones.
Probably. Was my face on the show?
No, it was not.
There's this explanation. That wasn't me, Fat Buzz is saying. You got
I got tricked. I got tricked.
But, you know, I want to say this, you know. So you got a lot of slack for having me on. You put a thing up that I was going to come on your show today, right?
Yep.
So what's the problem? You had other guys in the life on your show. You had other guys that cooperated on your show. You had other guys that were in the life that were, you know, associates or whatever. You had all kinds of content creators on your show. So now you put out that I'm going to come on your show, right? What was the stir about? I mean, so now wait, what is the problem? I did 40 shows. What is the fucking problem with me coming on your show? Okay, so somebody gets in a stir. This fat guy that you're talking about gets in a stir, and he calls two people that we know, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say their names. If you want to say them, that's up to you. But he calls two people that we know, and he starts telling them, and he's all panicky. And if I say anything wrong, correct me, because I don't want to say it in the wrong way. But he was all panicky. He was all panicky, and he was all nervous. Why? Why are you all panicky and all nervous? But then he says, if you have me on your show, he's going to release a sex tape of your wife, a fake tape, obviously, but it's going to be a sex tape of your wife, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to say. Because you were going to have me on your show, he called up panicky to two guys that are not friendly with the Angel Gotti and her people side. So he called up two people, and then they called you up. And then, so he got all panicky. And then he threatened you with, if you have me on your show, he's going to release a sex tape of your wife, which we know he's going to be doctored up with a face and everything.
Of course.
So all I want to say is to your viewers is that's all you need to hear about this guy's character and what he's about, to threaten you that he's going to do that to your wife, knowing full well he's got two daughters. And this is what they do. They cry when he's going to do that to your wife. But then you do it to his two daughters, and then he's going to cry like a fat pig. Why did they attack my daughters? Why did they do this? Just like when he goes out and slanders and tells lies on the TV, and then somebody comes in and corrects him. Why are they attacking me? Why are they doing this? And they cry afterwards when you fight back and you hit back, and then they cry. So I just want your audience to, if you got common sense, that because you were going to have me on, he was going to put a sex tape about your wife. So you call him up. And what did he do right away, this fat guy? Oh, no. You're my friend. I stuck up for you. I told the fat girl over there not to have you on the thing. I told you this. I told you that. Kissing your ass, right? Trying to get you not to have me on, but trying to kiss you out and trying to tell you that he did all the good things for you, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't fall. You didn't bite for that. You didn't fall for that. And you said, no, I'm going to have him on. And then he threw out a threat. He was going to come and split your head open.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, okay, just to have me on, what was the panic about? I didn't even talk bad about him last night. Did I? I didn't talk bad about him last night.
Oh, of course.
I thought I talked good about him. And
Yeah,
what was
you
the
did.
panic about? There was no reason to panic. But if you don't get it, and, you know, if you don't get what he did, what kind of character that is, knowing that he's got 2 daughters, he's going to threaten your wife and put your wife out there, knowing he's got 2 daughters, that somebody could do the same thing to his 2 daughters, right?
Yeah,
And then he's going to cry, and he's going to tell you, I got 2 beautiful daughters and 2 I wake up, I go see my kids, and I love my grandkids, but then you're going to go attack someone else's wife that you love your wife, and he's going to get mad when you go back and attack his daughters, and then he's going to cry like a fat piece of shit that he is. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. And there's really nothing to say. I can wrap up the whole interview right now. He was a clerk that worked for organized crime. When you go, he was customer service, and that's his story. That's his whole story. That's it. There's nothing else to say. If you want, we'll keep talking, but that's the story of his life. He was a customer service rep.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, listen, if that's all you want to say about him, that's
Oh,
cool.
no. You can keep talking, but I'm just saying, like, that's the story part of his story is customer service. I'm here for you, whatever you want. To talk. I'm not sure interview. I'm
No.
I'm here with you.
No. Listen, well, I think a lot of what people wonder, and you went over some of it last night, but other than that, you know, what is this image he tries to project of being this big gangster and this fucking Genovese bookmaker and this, you know, what the fuck is his story? Why is he doing this?
I think he missed his calling with this YouTube and social media. If it happened back in the 90s, he'd be a sensation with all the, you know, eating the dog food out of the dog bowl and doing all that type of stuff. You know, that's what he is. He's entertainment. And if he just stuck that route, I think he would have been great. I told him, stick that route, you know, but no, he wanted to switch and go pretend. If I didn't come back here and call out his bullshit, you would have think Al Capone was reincarnated, and it's him. He's walking around, and Al Capone just is reincarnated, and that's him with all the bullshit life. He used to tell me stories when I was home, and I'm like, listen at him. He's like telling me there was one incident where we shot 3 people. He's trying to tell me he was there, and I'm saying, and then he was on so much drugs, and he kept talking to you. I couldn't get a word, and I said, hey, and he's going, yeah, I was there. I go, hey, I go, shut the fuck up. I said, you weren't there. I go, there was 10 of us there. We shot them. We stabbed them. We hit them with golf clubs, with wax handles, and 3 people got shot. But you weren't there. Stop fucking saying that you were there. And you know, he's telling me, so he's trying to convince me because he wants to go out and tell a story like that. So there was so many stories like that, and I just tried, be yourself, tell your truth, be authentic, go out there and tell your own story, and be honest. But he chose to go the other route.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about some of these other characters on here? For instance, Angel Gotti.
I think she's a disgrace, to be honest with you. I think that she single-handedly is destroying the Gotti name. She's, you know, she's putting her brother on big-time blast, getting him attacked viciously. The father, she's getting him now attacked viciously. And all because she wants to go out and do a show. She's another one. I mean, she could do a show. You know what I think it is with her? She's jealous of Karen Gravano. That's what it comes down. Everything comes down with jealousy. It all starts with that. She's seen the girl come back. Karen came back, did a big show, took balls to come back for what she did, to come back to New York City and do what she did and do it successfully and do all that. And I think that she's jealous of her. And now she's trying to come out and do things. And I think it stems from her being jealous of Karen Gravano and the fact that, you know, people can talk about all that, but, you know, getting that whole case, how that went down, but she's putting her father, she's ruined his legacy, and people are attacking the father now even. You know, now they're putting the things that he was extorted in prison. He got beaten up in prison. He ruined the Gambino family. He murdered an innocent man. All this stuff is coming to light. And if it wasn't for her, none of this stuff would have came to light. So that's
Yeah.
what I think she's doing. She's her brother. I have nothing against her brother. I think he did a great thing getting out of the mob. But now because of her, he's he's blinky. He's a rat. He's getting attacked viciously, and she just sits there and just says what she wants and keeps going. And so yeah, that's what I think of her.
Isn't it funny that she's her whole thing is that she defends her family and she does the best she can to clean up their image, when in reality it's her destroying their image. It's her destroying like
she
you
is.
said, even her
Yeah.
father's fucking legacy.
Right. Absolutely. And then you're going to have guys that were in the life that will explain detail for detail what Junior Gotti did and how like what he did is no different that a guy cooperated did only he didn't sign the cooperation agreement and he didn't take the stand. But if they took his thing, he would have had to sign that and he would have it got called. So if a guy cooperates, I know a lot of guys that cooperated and they didn't have to testify. Does that mean they didn't cooperate? Does that mean that they didn't cooperate? So they're the same thing as him. They sat down with the feds. They proffered. The feds took their story and went with it. They signed a cooperation agreement and they went forward. They got a deal. They got a 5K1, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't able to get that deal, so they didn't give him a cooperation agreement. So he went down and put himself out there for nothing. He exposed himself with the feds on a proffer session that if he went to a federal penitentiary, he would have got killed the same way, or he would have had to go check into PC immediately. He wouldn't be able to come out into population, and the same way. And that I'm not bad-mouthing that dude at all. I know a lot of shit about the dude from what that fat pig would tell me all about him because he's a fanboy. But she's exposing it where it's coming out because of the shit that she's doing. She's gonna attack me, and she's been attacking me. Whatever. I don't care who. I don't take it personal with her. But when she starts doing that, or anybody else starts doing that, and they have dirt on them, like her brother does. If she wants to say I'm a rat, well then her brother's a rat. She has to say that. She has to. Okay, Al Bruno, my boss, at one time, and then he was, whatever. He was murdered. He did less than what her brother did. He did less. He talked to the feds. And you know who ordered him dead? You know who ordered Al Bruno dead? The bosses of the Genovese crime family in New York City ordered him dead.
Yeah.
And her brother did worse than Al Bruno didn't do a proffer session. Her brother did a proffer session. Al Bruno's dead. Her brother's walking around. So he did worse. So you can't pick and choose, just like when the fat slob went on there and had the lawyer come on. Well, how would the lawyer know if he put his brother up to go meet the state organized crime guy? Or if he met with the feds and did all that? The lawyer wouldn't know. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So when they attack and they have things like that, are you just supposed to sit there and say, okay, you can call me all these names? I try to go on her show. I was going to act polite. I don't want informants. I don't want them. Well, your brother's a fucking informant. You got the fat pig is a rat and this and that. And so, when you're attacked, especially me, if someone has an opinion of me, I don't care. If someone wants to say something about me in a certain way, I don't care. If it's something that you're going to go out publicly and say, and I know, like, say somebody's a child molester, right?
Yeah.
Just because I lived my life and did this shit, what I did, now I'm going to have this guy say shit about me, but he raped kids or he molested kids. I don't have the right to go after him and say something about him. Obviously, I'm not going to do it physically. We're going to do it with our mouths. Our mouths are machine guns now, just like these people. Their mouths are the machine guns. So my mouth is my machine gun now. So it's better. I don't have to worry about going to prison. I'll fire back with my mouth just like they do. And if it's something honest, I won't care. I don't care if they talk about my case and anything about it, talk about it. But if they want to be derogatory and say it like that, then I have to say, I can't have the right to come back and say what I want to say. respectfully, if they want to be disrespectfully, I could say it respectfully. I mean, did I say anything wrong the way I explained that? I'm not disrespecting the guy, Junior Gotti. I
No, you're
respect
not
the
at all.
fact. I respect him that he got out of that life. He
Yeah.
had kids, he had money, he got out of that life. I respect him that he's living the life on the streets, and I respect it. But am I saying anything disrespectful by explaining it the way I did? Is
No,
that the
not at
truth?
all.
Anybody
Yeah.
on the streets knows. See, here's the difference. Fat slobs like the guy in my area don't know how things work. I mean, I had to explain it to him over and over again. Like, you know, you're bad mouthing one guy, but you're going and talking about this guy. He did the same exact thing. They don't know none of that stuff. They don't ever even heard of a proffer.
Yeah.
You know, they never heard of a Rule 35. They never heard of a 5K. They never heard of none of these terms. And so, you know, obviously they watch the YouTube, they watch interviews, and they get schooled and they learn a little bit more. But am I saying anything that you think is disrespectful, or am I lying by what I'm saying about that?
Not at
No.
all. I think
Right.
you're speaking the truth. That's it.
Right.
And people
So-
know that. You know what I mean? They know.
Especially people that know the life know that.
Yeah.
Like, if you know anything about our life, organized crime, mafia, I mean, there's different rules, but I think it still pertains. Ours was a little bit more stricter. But I mean, any street guy, any guy would know, you sit down with the feds and you got to produce paperwork in a prison, especially a penitentiary, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Especially a penitentiary.
Absolutely. Can you tell me, there's one thing I forgot to ask, because you told me some funny stories about that guy in your area.
Which guy? Which guy are you talking about?
Chicky.
Oh,
the
Chicky.
one-
Oh, I keep forgetting who we're talking about.
Yeah, of
Go on.
course. Yeah, I know. You told me a story about him at one point telling somebody that he was made.
Oh my God. So this guy told me I could say his name. I still don't want to say his name because he's like the guy that they call the boss around here and everything. But he
Yeah,
said,
right.
no, tell my name. But Chicky was all fucked up on drugs when I got home in 17. He was on that methadone and taking those Klonopins, mixing them. And he had drool coming out of his mouth. There's pictures of him with his head in pancakes and waffles. And he was pulled over and sitting in the middle of the road with his engine running, with his foot on the gas, and they're coming out, hey, wake up. So that's how he was. And he would talk like blah, 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 blah. He would be mumbling. And so he went into the guy's sister's restaurant and he said to them that, hey, don't tell anybody, but I got straightened out yesterday. I got my butt.
What the fuck?
Yeah. The guy's sick.
How do you do something like
The
that?
more and more I'm sickened. The more and more I'm learning, he's getting sicker and sicker. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Now, how do you do something like that and expect not to be found out? I mean, people are going to know that didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Drugs. I think drugs, and I think he's like stupid too. I think he's like dumb, but I think drugs had a lot to do with it. He was on methadone, and that's I'm telling you, and anybody I know is in my area. I mean, I got videos of him, I got pictures. I'm gonna send you all them too. Just you seen the one where he was laying and he got pissed all over his pants and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's what he was. He was a wreck, and so I think that had a lot to do with it. The drug, the methadone fucked it. He was on it for over 20 years. Since the 90s. He was on the Percocets, then the fucking heroin, and then the methadone. And so, even when I used to call him from prison in 2014 to 17, you couldn't get a word in from him. Blah 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 blah, and he starts snoring. He passed out on the phone. But
do you think it's hypocritical? I mean, this guy joined this so-called "We Push Back" movement, which is pretty much disbanded now. But it was a bunch of people that claim to hate rats, and meanwhile, most of them are rats. But
right.
Is that not hypocritical? I mean, this dude. First of all,
Right.
Let's get this straight about Chicky. Chicky does everything he can to be your buddy. Am I correct?
My whole life, but since I've been home, absolutely. And that's what triggered me is the hypocrisy of all this. Coming to my house, hugging me. Everyone would have done what you did. 99% of the people would have did what you did. Thank God you're home and blah, blah. The hypocrisy of it all. Then go on to the YouTube and go rat. There's only, and I took it from here and there, on the social media and this and that until you just the hypocrisy of it all gets you so mad, and you can't do anything else. But the machine gun is your mouth is the machine gun, and so you have to just come out and attack and tell the truth and expose these people. I can't expose somebody that lived in Pennsylvania, New York, that I didn't grow up with and I don't know nothing about unless I have personal knowledge with him. But Fatso, I can, and that's what I'm doing.
Fatso. So what do you think? What do you think the attacks on you from him are all about?
Jealousy, jealousy. It all, like I said, jealousy starts everything. He see me come home. I had nothing going on YouTube, so he was my friend. He's telling me, "Oh, John Gotti Jr. saw my video; it's going viral. Oh my God! Oh my God!" So now I start, and I didn't do these videos, go on these shows voluntarily. Like I got paid to go on these shows, money. So I went on these shows. I don't ever watch my shows. I don't care about that. I'm not looking for notoriety. I'm looking for money. Give me money. I'll go on anybody's shows. We'll talk with everybody you want. I'll go on your show. He's looking for notoriety and fame. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for notoriety and fame and create a figure that didn't exist. And he might have got away with a lot of it if I never came home, because he would have used all my stories and pretended that he was in those stories. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's the drugs, jealousy, and he's starving for attention. He's starving for the notoriety of this genre. He was starving to be something and that he wasn't, and he's trying to create that. And I think that's what it is with him. I know that's what it is with him. No, there's no other thing that it is. He's starving for notoriety, and I didn't realize this too, but I didn't realize he was the one causing me all the problems with these YouTube people. I found all that out now, but I didn't realize he was as jealous as what he is, the type of person he was. Knowing him since a little kid, playing baseball, and he never did nothing with me as far as that other stuff, but as jealous of a type of guy he was, that's what really shocked me with him. But I knew it too, because when I came home in prison in 17, he's telling me, this guy's loan shark, and this guy's this guy's doing this, and he's complaining about them. Oh, he's got this guy around, he's doing this. He's got that guy. So I tell him, why don't you do it? Why don't you go out and make money? Why are you crying about him making money and that guy doing that and do it? Why don't you just go do it? What's stopping you? Because he don't know how to make money. He doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to make money on the streets. He knows how to collect that Navy little pension that he gets, $3,300, another $700 he gets from the Social Security, and he lives off that. He doesn't, and that's how he lives.
So, all right, let's backtrack a little bit because I have a good question for something you just said. So this guy comes to you after you get out of prison. Now,
right?
You were in prison serving time on a cooperation agreement.
Correct.
So you were considered a government witness, a cooperator.
I was, right.
Yeah, so this guy comes to you and just starts telling you about all the illegal shit that's going down in Springfield. Isn't there a word for that?
Unconscious rat. I don't know, rat. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But listen, go before that. I started calling him in prison. I was talking with him from 2015 till I got out. I was talking to him in prison on the phone from 2015 after I cooperated. So it started before I got out.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Listen,
I get it. What's that?
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I get him. I mean, I known him since we've been little as far as being a kid like that. And I'm no longer in the life. And I know he's not in no life, So, he sold women's pocketbooks, fake Louis Vuitton. So I know he's not in the life. What would be wrong with me calling him? I didn't do anything to anybody in my area other than, nobody in my area went to prison because of me. And I did business with all of them, every single one of them. And they all know it. They all know it. They all know I did business with them since the 80s. Hundreds of guys I did business with. Not one of them went to prison except the ones on my case that I gave them the opportunity to jump off the ship with me. They make their own decisions. That's on them. I can't force them to jump off the ship, and that's what they did. But around here, I didn't hurt nobody as far as that. So me calling that fat slob, it's like, what would be the big deal about that? There's no, he's not in no life. He was never nothing. It's like I'm calling the guy who's a baker. Hey, what's up? And It's the same thing. But I was talking to him though, is what I'm saying, prior to me getting out. Yeah.
No, understood. Absolutely. Well, listen, I just asked these questions because these guys sit up there on that fucking woman's show and they talk about how they hate fucking rats and rat this, rat that. That's all you hear all day, every fucking day, sometimes 7-8 hours at a time. But when it really comes down to it, there isn't a single one of them who isn't okay with or even friends with somebody who cooperated at some point. They all refuse to call John Jr. a rat, which is ridiculous. Angel herself refuses to talk about Mikey Scars or Michael Franzese because her mother's friends with Michael Franzese, and Mikey Scars constantly, carries water for the Gottis and kisses their ass. But it seems to me that they only pick out the people they have a beef with, and then those people are the rats, and they just go after them every day, day in and day out, nonstop.
Well, think about this. She should have no beef with me, correct? I mean, I didn't know her. I didn't know the brother. There would never be no beef with me and her brother. There would never be no beef with me. So who's the instigator in all this? There's got to be a guy in my area there's got to be someone that weighs like 450, 500 pounds. That's got to be an instigator. We got to figure out who that is. If you could figure it out, Fat Ball Sicilian, I'm going to give you some money. Okay? Because he's the instigator. Okay? He's the guy going around. Because I had no issue with that girl. What's my issue with her? Okay, so she says I cooperated. So thousands of guys cooperated. So she's going to have an issue with every single. She's going to do a show on thousands of guys that cooperated in life. Why did she do a show on me? There's got to be someone instigating. And I think I figured it out who it is. It's got to be a 500-pound guy in my area named Fat Bastard.
Yeah,
he was doing the same. He was doing the same thing with Lee Cole. Lee Cole, I'm not even on his radar. I don't have nothing to do with the guy. Next thing you know, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about this Arilotta, and I'm not liking it. Fat Bastard strikes again. Okay? And he was trying to get other people. I got word that he was trying to get other people. Now, I'm not paying attention to none of this. I'm too busy living a good life. Okay? Yeah. While he's eating McDonald's, I'm going out to dinner at nice restaurants. He doesn't have a woman in his life, and I have women in my life. He doesn't live good. I live good. He doesn't know how to live good. So the jealousy starts tricking back up. He's the instigator of the problem for me. I had no issue with these people. None. I did 30, 40 episodes, 30, 40 podcasts. There was no drama on all of my shows. Never. I talked about my area. Like I do an interview. You want to ask me a question? I'll tell you the best as I can to answer it. We're going to talk nice, like gentlemen. I don't badmouth people. I don't say this guy was this or that guy was that. I just answer the questions and we do the interview. There was no drama. That was my interviews. And then all of a sudden, I'm on these people's radar. Yeah, and you know what? People did say things like, "Oh, well, he's a rat. He cooperated." Good. You can say that, and I don't hold you against that. Fine. Like if somebody sees me on a newspaper article or said, "That's your opinion." Fine. Good. Say that. But when I'm getting attacked, there's an instigator going on, and it goes by the name of Fat Bastard. And I figured that all out. And so I figured it out. And so once I figured it out, I started paying attention. Oh, this guy's trying to play slick. And he's doing the same thing with all these Mob 2 guys. He's playing this side. He said he's loyal. What's he doing talking to guys on the other side for? That's what he's doing. That's what he does. He's not a two-face. He's an 8-face.
No, absolutely. Can you just fill us in a little bit on the story with him and his brother? I'm not going to keep you here all day, but just to get this part out.
Well, the brother owed a loan shark debt for $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he was paying for about 2.5 years, 3 years on it, and maybe 3 years, and he was paying a large percentage. I think it came out to $1,300 a month. And the guy had a daughter. He didn't want to pay anymore. Now the guy's not a street guy, and but he's done things that on the street where he made scores here and there that he could have paid the $5,000 back, but he never chose to do it. And rather than so now he's trying not to pay this anymore, and rather than getting out of it, rather than the guys in this area thinking that respectfully, well, if we'll go see his brother. No, they didn't. They gave the guy a beating. They threatened the sister. This is the fat guy's brother. They went to the fat guy's house and threatened the sister to hit her in the head with the walker, and if the guy didn't pay the money. Now, prior to this, the guy didn't want to pay, and he was at a barbershop, and that's where there was a state organized crime guy that gets his haircut at this barbershop. It's in East Springfield. Everybody knows the barbershop, and he goes there. And the brother pointed out to his brother, that's the head of the barbershop. You know, if you want to see the whole interview, Lefty did a great job on it and had his brother on. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
bottom line is, he pointed him out who he was. Then the brother said, the guy was retired. He hooked him up with the feds. So the brother was able to help you. He said, yeah, he gave me a number and I'm meeting with the feds the next day. You're not going to tell her who the guy is and then just say, you know, you brought the guy to that guy. That guy's not going to pay your brother's loan. You told him to go to that guy because you knew he was going to go to the law enforcement and wear a wire or work with them. So then after that, he said, yeah, he knew Rudy was working with them, his brother. And then he goes to the feds came to him and said, where's your brother live? Because don't forget, this was before the fat bastard got arrested. He was living with the nephew, and he said he lives over there. They went over there. So then after that, he asked them what happened. He said that, yeah, he gave us information on the case, but he wanted to sign a cooperation agreement like Rudy had to sign. So that's another one. During the whole thing, he knew that Rudy was wearing the wire. He asked them, when are these guys getting arrested? When are these guys going to get arrested? Because the first of the month is coming up, and that's when they had to pay. Chicky owed money on the fat bastard owed money on the loan shark as well. He was on drugs, and he's a very jealous kid. That's why he put his brother to do these horrible things, you know. And so, you know, he was witness number 5 on the case. The lawyer on the case for Anthony
Chicky was witness number 5.
Chicky was witness number 5. Yeah.
Okay.
The lawyer on the case for Anthony Schiavelli is a great attorney. Okay. He was told by the prosecutor in the case that David Ciccatelli gave information on the case. He was told that. I'm trying to get the paperwork on that. I said I would pay to get all the information on that as far as what's public and what can be said. But the lawyer told him out of his mouth that he gave information on the case. So, I mean, it goes on and on with the kid. You know, the brother got sick of it too. You know, Chicky called the cops on his brother. The brother threw an axe at his hand. They've called the cops. I mean, it's just, you know, they're horror stories. So when you hear stories like that, I'm not in that life. It doesn't pertain to me. I don't care. I knew all these stories prior back then. But when he keeps going out and he's acting a certain way, and the hypocrisy of him going out, and then he starts going, I hate rats, and he starts doing all this, and then it's like it keeps building up, and it keeps building up, and it keeps building up, and you know, you just have enough of it all. At the end of it, you have enough, and that's the brother had enough, and I've had enough of his the lies that he keeps coming out saying with his hypocrisy of everything that he does.
No, it's understandable, especially when you're being attacked. Uh-oh, we lost Anthony.
No, I'm here. If I have my thing on, so if that happens, I just have a phone, so I just hit that off.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
No, I listen. I understand because you're being attacked and shit. You know what I mean? It's you got to fight back. You got to speak out sometimes. By the way, Chicky, 306 Cherry Street, bro. I'll see you when you get here. So Anthony, I'm gonna ask you a few questions if that's all right, and I'll let you go because I know that you probably want to go to dinner or something.
Right.
Paulie Walnut sent $9.99 and said, "What nightclub in Connecticut did you own?"
It's the Russian Lady today. Back then, it was the Russian Lady back in the 80s, but then it became the System. That's when the ecstasy shit was going crazy, and that's when I got in when it was the end of the System, and then it turned into Club Blue.
Oh,
it was called Club Blue. Yeah.
All right. Mark Hind wants you to show the dwarf wrestling video.
Oh, the little midget?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that once I get a certain amount of subscribers. If you can get me FBS up to a a certain amount of subscribers, and then we'll have a big, huge show with that video. Because I got a few videos like that. So that would be a nice video to start with the subscribers on the show. And I'll even maybe come on your show to do it.
That is some real incentive to subscribe to Anthony's show. So please, Miss Can't Be Wrong, keep dropping that link. And everybody go subscribe. As a matter of fact, I think we got you up. Somebody said a little while ago up to 414. Yesterday, I believe you were at 287 or something. So it's moving. It's moving quickly. Yeah. We might have you up to 500 today.
And that channel, just so you know, it's not going to be the bullshit where, like, you know, it's going to, I want that channel to be content done the right way with the stories. But but then also if you have the live shit, and you can and I can also do that when I'm gonna do lives. I'm gonna do like a couple lives, 2-3 lives a week with that stuff. But the channel I like to do, and then if I gotta come and hit someone, I come on your show and do it. You know what
absolutely. I mean? That's what the Fat Bald Sicilian Show is here for, Anthony. You are welcome anytime to air your grievances on my show.
Yeah, because you know, they don't like when they get hit back. You know.
No, absolutely not, bro. This is the way it works over there. They get to abuse you all day, every day, and then when you fight back, they're the victim and you're the villain. It's all your fault. You're the bad.
I gotta tell you this. My man Loomis Santoro, Mafia Truth, he's my guy, right? I got him, and Lefty's my guy too. Everybody knows that. But Lee Cole called him last night at like 1 a.m, and then texted him, "I need to talk to you. You got to talk to me." last night. And so he's not going to call him back, and he's not going to pay any attention to him. But just so you know, I wanted to shout out to my man and tell Lee, like, there's no snakes on this side. Maybe the fat bastard is the snake, and he's going back playing both sides. But my man Loomis ain't a snake, Lee. What's
your opinion of Lee?
I don't have an opinion of him. I never watched him. I never paid it. He texted me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'd love to have you on the show." Maybe a few months back. That was my first contact with him. I never answered him. Then he texted me back and said, "Yes, no, maybe. We have good content." And he wanted to have me on the show. And I said, "Okay, you want me to have you on your show? I'll come on, but I want to get paid." And that's when he did all the thing. At that time, he was talking with Gene Borello. And I think I asked Gene to ask him, say, "Hey, this guy's calling me. Gene was friendly with him at the time. And I said, "Tell him I'll go on a show, but I want to get paid." And that was that. And so I don't have an opinion of him. I never knew nothing about him until I started paying attention to him. I heard a lot of bad things about him, but I never had an opinion of him.
No, I understand. But can we clear up real quick just so people know? I didn't pay you to come on here.
No.
No, because that's what they'll, I'll need Anthony Arilotta to come on the show.
No. You didn't pay me.
Jesse Raw, thank you for the 199 super sticker and for the money earlier. I appreciate it. She sent me a message and said today is payday. Thank you. Let me just see if there's a couple of questions here. Stone Sailor, thank you. He said great show today. And then I'll let you go, Anthony.
And ask Stone Sailor too, when you get a chance too. Maybe you can talk about that stolen valor shit, because I didn't know anything about what that chick he did in the Navy, as far as if that's, I know that was a scumbag move what he did, trying to say he was a hero and saying all this. He was a Navy SEAL, and he was got the Purple Heart. He actually had all that posted too on his main page too. But if that's any type of shit, which I think Stone Sailor would know that, right? Throwing chemicals in your face to get out, knowing you had a disease before. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll know more about that. I don't know either way. I don't care. I'm just saying maybe a Navy guy or a military guy would know.
Oh, yeah. I think he's spoken on it before. Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt that you sent me that picture of him. I guess he put his picture on some sort of a Purple Heart. I don't even know if you'd call it a plaque or what. That's insane. Chicky did that.
And that was posted, and you could see the comments underneath and his name and everything. And they're saying, "Thank you for your service," and all this type of bullshit. And I never even paid attention. Imagine if I paid attention, just so you know, I would have had the video of him eating the dog food out of the dog bowl on all fours with a leash around his neck, getting pulled by a dog chain.
I'd give almost anything to see that.
Oh my God, it was the most disgusting thing you'd ever see.
People saw it though, because last
Yeah,
night
I
in the
know.
chat, people were saying you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They know
Yeah.
of that video.
He was
So-
like being laughed at. I was going into places people couldn't believe. They were so embarrassed, like they couldn't believe he would do things like that. Even he said it. I go, why? I asked him right to his face that he doesn't talk to me and I don't see him, but I asked him, how could you do that? He goes, I took it all down, and somebody else had it. I told him to take it down too off of his site. So, you know, that's what that's what drugs will do to you. For you to have somebody talk you into acting like a dog and eating dog food out of a dog, barking like a dog, that's what methadone mixed with pills and drinking does to you. You got to drink the water, fatso.
Gotta drink the water, fatso. Bobby Barbarian, $4.99 said FBS, this is better than the Vlad interview. Salute. Thank you, bro. All right, let me just see if there's a couple of questions and I'll let you go. I feel bad. You've been here hour and a half, Anthony.
And we just touched on him too, so I know he's going to go run to the shows, but that's why I'm saving all the best for the last, So, keep a lot of ammunition in the back, ready to come out too, because he can't keep his fat mouth shut.
Yeah, no, trust me, I know. Miss Can't Be Wrong just dropped Anthony Arilotta's channel link, so everybody please click on that and go subscribe.
Thank you.
Yep. Let me see. Tony Soflo, $10 said, too bad for you, Lee Cole. Tony Soflo's a good guy.
Oh yeah, I like that. I talked with him yesterday, and I like. Plus, I do like his show. He's entertaining. He's really good. You know what I really love is when he does the he pretends he calls somebody. That's fucking hilarious. That is the best. One time he did it with 3 people. I mean, it was like I don't know how he does it.
He's got talent at that.
Yeah,
voices.
that's something. Let me tell you something. That is something. That's great.
Soflo is the man, bro, and he's a fun guy to hang out with too. Let me tell you, he really is. Mob Entertainment Group 199 said, salute to a very successful first week. I believe that's for you, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. JC. Thank you, JC.
Tony Duck said the casual way in which Anthony refers to Fatso is hilarious. All right, I don't see many questions, so I think we're good. I want to thank you, Anthony, for coming on. This was great, bro.
Yeah, and I wish I had my computer because I'm getting texts, like about 1,000 texts, but I also wanted to. I could have showed you a lot of the shit too. If I was on the computer, I could have showed you a lot of the shit on this thing.
Yeah. Is there anything
if could I check my texts without it hanging up, or would that hang there? Would I lose you?
No, you could probably check.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to say maybe Fatso's texting me. I can give you some good breaking news.
That would be fucking hilarious. Bill Catolo said, bro, you can't pass the 11th Avenue podcast.
Bill, I talked with him before I came on. Bill's a great dude, and his show's good. 11th Avenue podcast. He's going to do well with it. Bill's a good dude. And, that's the thing I don't like either, because you see how and I don't want to put Bill's, situation out there, but they did it to everybody, not just Bill, but they had him on the show. Especially, who's even worse? Like, I know Lee's bad, but that Danny Smith is such a fucking pussy, man. And I'm going to tell you why. Anybody that's going to threaten you, they're full of shit. A guy that's going to do something to you ain't going to say anything. Like Fat Bastard said he was going to come to your area and bust your head. You could bet anything in the world that would never happen. And like when this joker Danny Smith with his story, all the lies and he killed somebody, and then he was come to find out he was breaking into houses and he was around Columbia. But for you to get, like, if I got mad right now, think about this. My wife killed people. If I got mad right now, as mad as I want, I might have a thought in my head about doing something. Do you think I would ever say it? Number one,
No.
And even if I did say it, I mean, I would never come out and say, I would badmouth you, but I would never say I'm going to come split your head open and hit you in the head with a bat, or he's a clown. And I can't believe how they had these guys on the show. They had A-Light on. They treated him with respect. Then they sent him all kinds of messages. Thank you for coming on, and praising him and all kinds of shit. My brother in heaven's going to look down and bless me. And And then they turn on him, and then they have Bill on. He wasn't going to get away with that with me because, first of all, if I went on the show, I would have got paid, and then I would abuse the fuck out of him right out of the thing. He could abuse me, but I would have abused him right back. So it wouldn't have went the way he thought it would have went. But especially Danny. Danny's a fucking clown. Oh, so Danny even told the fat bastard when he quit the show the first time. He said, "Yeah, I'm all done with the show, and if I'm getting death threats now." This is the fat bastard telling me all this. And Danny Smith will know all this is true. He goes, "Yeah, I'm all done with Lee. He's causing me too much problems. I got 5,000 people on my Facebook account. I'm getting death threats. I can't take this no more." He goes, "I got a family, and I can't take it." And he was all done. But then he went back on afterwards, I guess, right? But Lee was trying to get Fat Bastard to go on the show. So what happened was Danny says to him, "If I was you, Fatso, I wouldn't go on. I would not go on." He says, you got kids." He said, and I would not. That's when Lee was trying to get Fat Bastard to go against me and talk about me doing all that shit.
Yeah.
And Fat Bastard got scared, and he didn't do it that day. He's doing it now because, he's a fat liar and he's got nothing else to do. But he all my shit is public. So he was telling me all the information with Danny Smith and wanting him. Lee wanted him to go on the show with him and be a co-host. And Danny was telling him, "Don't do it. You got kids. If I was you, I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. They're animals on this thing. They come at your kids." And blah. But yeah, that was that one.
Crazy, bro. Crazy shit. Joe Bag of Donuts said, "I heard Chicky on Angel Gotti's show say he never claimed to be a SEAL."
Yeah, of course he does now, just like he never claimed. How about the thing that he said he was on the ship and the USS Cole got attacked and the mortar hit him in the head and I walk away with a 13-inch scar down my face. He took that one down too. He never claimed to be a SEAL because he took the post down. So now he took the post down and he said it for like 4 years, but 2 years ago he took it down. So now he has to come with the truth. Why? Because I'm exposing. I'm the truth seeker. He has to tell the truth now. Now, if I didn't come home, the Navy stuff, I think the military people would attack him because there was some people pissed off about that. I was working with a guy. He was in the Marines, and he was saying, "Dude, you don't know how bad this is." He was posting it right on his thing. Purple Heart, Navy SEAL, all that shit. He took it down. So that means that, he didn't do it back then. Of course he did. He took it down. And now he's coming out and saying, "I'm not it," because you got exposed. You have to say that. But the old posts are still there. Just like when you lied 3 years ago, your lies are still there.
Yeah, without a doubt, they don't go away. And maybe I'll post, maybe later, if it's okay with you. Maybe I'll post
post them.
Chicky picture
care.
with the
I got
SEAL.
so many of them, and he, a lot of the stuff that I have, he's the one that sent me this fucking moron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I got some bad shit on him. He's the one that sent it to me. This fucking fool.
I know. Do you have a light you could turn on, Anthony? We can barely see you.
Yeah.
You
should have told me that.
No, that's all right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Much better. Oh, Joe Borsellino wanted to know. He's the one that sent me the cigars I was telling you about before the show.
Yeah.
He wanted to know what you're smoking.
So
well,
this is
not
my
smoking,
father's.
but what you have.
This one is my father's, right?
Yep.
I don't know, where the fuck is the thing? Where the fuck is the camera? Right there.
There you go.
Okay, this is a good cigar. Okay, and then this is the one I lost. Right here, the Monte Cristo.
Yeah, you couldn't
That's
find
the
that.
one I couldn't find. Remember, I was looking all around because this was a shorter one. But yeah, I smoke them all. I used to Ashtons. I used to smoke Macanudos, but I used to like the Macanudo vintage. The vintages were the best. I like that. Ashton back in the day was mine. I've been smoking a lot of Davidoff lately. Partagas, Arturo Fuente. Anything I just like any type of cigar.
There's a Steve Saka cigar I was telling you about before this show called the Sin Compromiso. If you could find the Intrepido, Sin Compromiso Intrepido, try one of those. You're gonna love it. You're
It's
gonna love
mild,
it.
or it's an after dinner cigar, full
Yeah, it's
body.
got a
What
little,
is it?
yeah, and it's got a little spice to it. You know what I mean? It's a good one. It's my favorite cigar. I have none left. I'm about to lose my shit because you can't get them around here.
Yeah.
Any cigar shop I go to, even when I was in South Florida,
Well,
they don't have them. I got to
you
travel an hour.
you order them online. You can get them like JR
Yeah,
Cigars, Cigar International. You
yeah. I've
know,
never done that. Well, we
look
have
for
a
the dealer.
Cigars International about an hour from here. It's huge, and that's where I get them. It's about 200 for a box of 12.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
well, yeah,
So
that's a good. That's expensive. For smoking. Like I smoke sometimes 3 a day, 4 a day, and you're talking like these that adds up.
yeah, they're about $20 a piece, but I get a box. It might last me 3 months. I keep them in the humidor. I smoke
Yeah.
one every now and then. You
Well,
know what I
you're a
mean?
cigarette guy, aren't you? Like a
Yeah,
cigarette
yeah,
mostly? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, you should quit the cigarettes and just do the cigars. You
I
inhale
know.
the cigars?
No, no. Do you?
Yeah. No, I don't inhale them, no.
I
I
think
mean, you
Bill
still get
Catolo
them
inhales
though.
them.
Yeah, you still get. When I came home from prison in 17, the first 3 cigars I smoked, I threw up. So that means you're getting that's even though I don't inhale, you're getting all that in you. First 3, I got nauseous and puked.
Yeah. Bill
Mm.
Catolo said, "Go Padron, brother."
Yeah. Oh, Padrone, but another great one is Perdomo. The
Oh,
Perdomas
really?
are excellent. Rocky Patel, that's another good one. There's so many. And so many more coming out. Monte Cristo White Label, the Brown Label.
I like the Padron 7000. I just had one when I was in Florida. It was good. I'm gonna go get some after
Yeah,
this show.
yeah.
Gunsmoke the Don 499 said FBS salute another classic interview. Thank you. Here's the Stone Sailor, $5. He said, Chicky, this is an open invitation to come on my show and defend your military service record. These allegations are very serious and must be addressed.
And all I like to say is that with Stone Sailor, I never accused him of never being in the Navy. I've never said once he wasn't in the Navy. He was so frantic last night. He was sending everybody. He was sending lefties. You gotta have he's sending lefty pictures of his that he was in the Navy, and even lefty saying, "Dude, we never said you weren't in the Navy. It's just that you weren't on a ship that got blown up with the fucking mortar hitting you in the head and turn. You were there for 9 months. You wanted out. You left. You went AWOL. You went home. The captain called your house. You told your mom if it's the Navy, tell them I'm not here. She picked up the phone and said, hello. Hold on a second, Captain. He's right here. She said, Dave, you better get on the phone. You're in big trouble. He got on the phone. They gave him 3 days to report back. And he had to report back to the ship. He wanted out. This is what he told me out of his own mouth. So I don't give a fuck what he says. I don't care if a fuck what he did. He threw chemicals in his face. He already had this thing called myasthenia gravis. His eye used to droop down, and he threw the chemicals, and that's how he got a discharge out of the Navy. I don't know if that's even a bad story, dude. I don't care if it is. If it is or if it isn't, doesn't matter to me. But that's the story 100%. If that's stolen valor, yes. I don't care if it isn't stolen valor but I know one thing: he wasn't in there 4 years touring the fucking world and playing hockey for the fucking all the shit that he says he did and all that bullshit.
Yeah. No, listen, I think we know for sure at this point. I'd love to see Stone Sailor have him on. That would be fucking fantastic.
Well,
So
that's a story right there. I mean, there's no other story to prove that he was in the Navy other than if he wants to say, I didn't throw he admits that he threw the shit in his eye his thing is he said it's spilled now. Now it's spilled, some chemicals, it's spilled, and then that's how he got the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad you let us know about all this. Joe Borsellino, you did send me a Monte Cristo. I have it right there, actually. I might smoke it today. Thank you for that. Let's see. I think that about wraps it up, Anthony. I want to thank you for coming on. This was fantastic. And you're welcome on anytime, bro. We'll do everything that we can to help your channel grow. We got a great community here, man. Everybody gets along. Everybody shows each other love and support. We have each other's backs. And I'm sure people will keep subscribing as they watch the replay of this show for the next couple of days. So congrats on a very good week.
Thank you, my friend. And congrats to you, too. Always you do a good show. And I wish you the best with your show. And yeah, we'll definitely get together and do another one
Yeah.
in the future. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about before we go?
No, just I mean, the channel that I got out now, the Mafia Mayhem and Money Mayhem and the Mafia. That's the channel, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, under my name, Anthony. The link's on my Instagram. Loomis Centauro with Mafia Truth. He works with me in a lot of shit. And that's it. Pretty much.
Lefty Guns Pool Hall, of course.
Oh yeah,
too.
Lefty Guns is
Absolutely.
my man. I work with Lefty Guns too. Yeah, Lefty Guns is my man. He's talented as well, and he's just up too late for me. He stays up all night. I'm an early guy. He's a
Yeah, he
late
does.
guy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, definitely.
All right.
It's-
Well, thank you again, Anthony. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely, Chris. Thanks for having me, and I'll stay in touch with you.
All right. Have a good day, Anthony. I
All
appreciate
right.
you being here.
You got it. You too.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye. All right, guys. As Gunsmoke said, another classic interview. I enjoyed that a lot, very much. Some people are going to be pissed off about this show, but you know what? It is what it is. You're not going to threaten me. You're not going to scare me out of doing anything I want to do. That's it. And as a matter of fact, as I've said before, if you try to threaten me, I'm just going to go harder. So don't do it. All right. Let me just look at some things here. Joey Frakes, $5. Thank you. Listen, Joey. I believe I asked you this before. I would love if you could email me. I have something important to ask you. I know that might seem strange to you, but if you email me, you'll understand why I would like to speak to you. So please do if you can. It's Fatbald Italian, not Fatbald Sicilian. Fatbalditalian@gmail.com. There's my man SoFlo talking his shit on Chicago the Bitch. Let's see what else we got. Crazy text last night, Lefty, I'm sure. Chicky was going berserk, sending fucking pictures to everybody to try to validate himself in some way. Tony Sofalo said, smack that like, Angel Gotti, with your 3 chins. Let me see what else. Live and Let Live is here. How are you, my friend? Let me look through some comments. Oh, is that right, Francesco? Okay. Good to know. Stone Sailor, he better say it's spilled, otherwise he's been committing fraud against the United States government for a long time. Yeah, that's not good. Looking for the truth. Just lying about military accomplishments is a scumbag, lying, valor, bozo move, no matter how you cut it. Yeah, we got a lot of that on that side. A lot of stolen valor over there. Chicago, the scumbag, snitch, dickhead, asshole, muscle forever. That fucking jerk off. He's the biggest stolen valor clown over there. But apparently there's another one. Joey Frakes, I can't believe he tried to pull off the ex-Navy SEAL thing. Has anyone seen an ex-SEAL on here? Have you ever seen a 500-pound one? Fuck no. And you could ask Anthony. Unfortunately, he's not on right now, but he'll be back at some point, I'm sure. Anthony will tell you he's always been that size. Okay, so let me see what else we got. Tony Soflo said, Angel Gotti, eat your heart out and time to lose weight. M. Soretti is in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Francesco Fiordolino said, great show. Thank you. One day I want to interview you too, Frank. I hope you're willing to do that. That would be great. Very interested in your story. Chad D, oh my God, I'm sorry. Did I miss it? Bro, my apologies. If I missed anybody's question, I apologize. Trust me, it's not easy to do this. I know it may seem like it is, but you're getting texts, you're looking through comments, you're trying to pay attention to the person you're interviewing so you could ask follow-up questions. It's not easy. I'm sorry, bro. But listen, I'm sure Anthony will be on again. Plus, he's got his own channel now. He'll be doing a lot of stuff, and you guys can ask him anything you want. Believe me when I tell you, Anthony is an open book. He'll answer anything you ask him. Let's see what else we got. Chicky said he was hit by a mortar in a boat-based bomb attack. That's two completely different types of attacks. Joseph Obrano, Chunky Chunko done another video, part 4, brilliant work. Is that right? Oh, thank you for letting me know, Joseph. Why didn't I get a notification? I must see that immediately. And Chunky Chunko is another one, guys. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. He does great work. NYC Crime Spot, great show. The community on your side continues to grow. Thank you, NYC Crime Spot. Thank you for the compliment. And yes, it is continuing to grow. And I consider you a part of it. So it's our side, NYC Crime Spot. I love the fact that you're here with us. Thank you, Chad D. And I'm sorry again. Steve Blair, I thought you handled that well. Very nice job, FBS. Thank you. And listen, guys, remember, I talked to Anthony before the show. He didn't want to do like a long formal fucking interview where I asked him every single question and he gave every detail. I would have loved to have done that. I had a whole bunch of questions written, but you know, he wanted to do it the way we did it. You know, he wanted to be brief with his answers and stuff. But it was still fantastic. We got a lot of info. We got a great story out of him, many actually. So I'm extremely happy with this. I am going to upload this to my other channel at some point, as well as a couple of other shows. I got to get around to that. Thank you, Hey Now. I certainly hope so, because I don't have much else going for me. Tony Soflo said, just Josie, you need to grow some hair, Janzaba. Yes, she does. Oh, let me shout out, guys. I was getting cash apps, and yes, the show ain't over. If you'd like to donate, 313 people. At one point, we had 370 something, I believe. Please donate. It would help me and my channel greatly. I'd appreciate it very much. But I did get some, and I want to shout them out now. Just give me 1 second to get to everything. My man Vecchio sent me $10 actually earlier and said, great interviews. I always loved them. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Also, Stephen Cordell last night. I didn't catch his, but he sent $10. Thank you, Stephen. Let me get to my gish apps over here. I believe I have a few. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I only have one. Oh, no, I have several. Jesse Roth, thank you again for earlier. OC said, great stuff, bro, $20. Thank you. Argo, $10. I appreciate you, my friend. And the other person, I'm not sure if he wants me to shout out, but I got a $5 cash app from him. He said, has he ever heard of Tony Pizza? Sorry, I didn't get to that question, Joey Dodge, but I'm quite sure he would have just laughed it off. You know what I mean? I apologize for not getting to that, bro. And I think that's it. Unfortunately, I think that's it. But you know what? It is what it is. I never make much on interviews. Scott McDonald said 385, actually. FBS, you cut yourself short. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me know. The other side doesn't do interviews. They just have little lie sessions. Oh, for sure. DJ Kaz, you can interview me anytime, my friend. I feel bad. Me and DJ Kaz barely talk anymore. I don't know what happened. But let me tell you, this man, Kaz, right here, has done so much for me, not only with donations and then hyping people up to donate for my show, making mixes for people, but he sent me an old MacBook. He sent me his whole fucking music library. And for a DJ, that is a dream come true. So DJ Kaz, I love you, my brother. I appreciate your friendship more than you know and everything you've done for me. Don't think I'll ever forget it, my friend. Same to Bill Catolo, my good man. I love you too, bro. And you're another one. I'm very grateful for your friendship and everything you've done for me, my wife, my channel. Great man. Kevin Fahey, 449. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. Yeah, another great show. Hit that like. Yeah, everybody do that, please. Brooklyn, thank you, my friend. So, all right, guys. Nah, you're never bothering me, Kaz. Never bothering me. Scott McDonald, what turntables? Well, what I have right now is a controller. It's a system. It's called Rain 1, RANE. It's hard to explain how it works, but it's basically a digital music controller. So it controls all the music that you have stored in your laptop. You can manipulate the music. You could scratch. You could blend, mix, do all that good stuff. It's the same thing as having 2 turntables and a mixer, especially if you have one like mine with the rotating platters, you know, motorized platters, I should say. It's the same exact thing. But back in the day, for about 20 years, I used Techniques 1200s, the best you could get. And if they weren't $2,000 a piece now, I would still be using them. But my set got taken in a police raid, so they are gone. One of the greatest sadnesses in my life. Chad D, $3 super sticker. Thank you, bro. I know, man. DJ Kaz got the Rev 7. The son of a bitch had to outdo me. I get the Rain 1. He goes and gets the only other controller better than the Rain 1. Even the UPS guy who delivered the Rain 1 to me said, why didn't you get the Rev 7? I said, I didn't even fucking know there was one. Did Anthony ask to come on your show, or did you seek him out? I think you meant to say. No, it was basically I started talking to Anthony a couple of weeks ago. He said he would like to come on the show at some point. So we had been speaking about it. And with everything that's been going on lately, you know, Anthony said the other day that after Gene was on, he said he would like to come on as well. So we were just waiting to set up a time, and it wound up being Friday at 4:00. So, and last night he called in as well. So, you know, me and Anthony talk on the phone a lot and stuff. And it just worked out, and he was able to come on, and we could promote his channel now, get him some subs. You know, and that's it. That's it. But I'm very grateful for him coming on. It was a really good show, and I owe that to him. No, I didn't get them back like MRE's bulletproof vest. No. But it wasn't, in all honesty, it wasn't my police raid. I had my equipment stored at a friend's graphic design shop. I was going to be DJing an event for him. So I had moved my equipment there a couple of days before he got raided. But he was running a massive stolen gift card scam with about 100 people that were going out stealing gift cards for him. He was then taking the gift cards, reselling them on eBay. They said that he made about $750,000 that year off of stolen gift cards. He got hit pretty hard. He got like a 12-year sentence, I believe. But in that raid, everything was taken. Everything. And the only way I could have fought to get that stuff back would have been to involve myself in that case. And considering that I was a drug dealer, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to distance myself as far away from him as I could, you know? Wait, I just got a PayPal. Let me shout it out, guys. And listen, I never say this, but if anybody's watching, I should have said this earlier when we had almost 400 people, but if anybody's watching who hasn't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it very much. Danny Santos just sent 352, said you were great entertainment. Thank you, my friend. I try my best. I really do. And that's it, I think, guys. I think I'm ready to roll. It's just about that 2-hour mark. I still got some shit to do today. And I might be back on tonight, but I'm not sure. I would love to do a date night with my wife, you know? So maybe I will. We'll see. You never know what's going to happen. I might be tested or pushed a little bit into coming back on tonight. You know, that happens sometimes too. And that might encourage me. Let me just see one more thing. Tony Soflo. Tony Soflo is the best. Where was it? I just saw it. Let's see. He said, Chicago snitch, muscle forever, call 911, bitch. Tony Soflo said, just Josie, your book sucks. And Tony Soflo also said, Angel Gotti, sue me, you ugly, sexually deprived woman. So that's it. Oh, and he also said, MRE, you need a husband. Yes, you do, MRE. You definitely need to start looking. You know what I mean? You got to get back on, what is it? Grinder, I believe. Yeah. We already got your profile, bro. We know you're out there. So, Brooklyn, you have a great night as well. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed this show. Hit that like button. Don't forget. And if you would like to donate after the show, there's something called a super thanks button right under the video. Please hit that button and donate whatever you can. I'd appreciate it very much. Also, my Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, you got all that stuff. If you don't, it's in the description of the video. All right, guys, thank you for everything. I love you all. And until next time, salute.